the live stream.
Gotcha. Okay, so Ross, you want to talk about the public hearing?
No, just one moment.
Oh, sorry, Marnie.
So big one.
Okay, Bill,
Yes.
we have,
You touched
well, I'm just going to welcome everybody to Community Board of
Sure.
Elections, a general meeting and public hearing on 2080 McDonald's, excuse me, Avenue. We're joined by the applicant, who I am going to make a panelist, and we'll make a
No
presentation.
idea.
Gotcha.
What about the pledge?
That doesn't happen until we start our meeting. This is a public hearing.
So we're joined by Eric Palatnik. And one moment. We just have a lot of people. And Austin Corey, if you can just turn on your video and your microphone.
Hi, Marnie. This is Austin. I'm on as a panelist. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Palatnik?
Marnie, Eric actually just gave me a call and said that he actually had two devices on, and I think you promoted him to a panelist on the device he doesn't speak on, so he disjoined from that one, and then he's just wondering if you can promote him to panelist on, like, I guess the device that he's currently on.
I have him,
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
no problem.
I think we're all getting too good at Zoom for our own good. Hi, it's Eric Palatnik.
It's the truth.
I have two devices, so when you let me in on the one that doesn't have a mic, which is a large, so it's a whole thing. So
What if you shut it off? Turn it on.
I did. That's
Oh,
what I
he's
did.
on now, though. You're on. We hear you.
I'm all good now. We're all here now, and thank you very much for your time, everybody. So if it's okay with you, we'd like to commence our presentation. Is that okay with you, Marty?
That's what, we're up to that. Yes.
All right, so my name is Eric Palatnik. I've met many people that I see on the screen tonight before. And for those that I haven't, I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to us this evening. I know you all have many exciting things to do that don't involve this application. So thank you very much for taking a few minutes. I am an attorney. I'm representing the Shahebar family, who has a development team known as Jackson Development. And they are
How'd you
here.
get it in the first place?
They are here today to seek your permission to rezone. Austin, if you can go to the aerial, please, of the site, a few pages in, and so you could all take a look at the site. You all know it. There you go. It's at the corner of Avenue West, and it's McDonald Avenue. It's the one-story building just next to the subway station on the corner of Lake Street, and it's approximately 28,000 square foot lot. You've all seen it, driven past it, gotten onto the subway right there, I'm sure, for many years. And I'm sure what you also know and probably take note of as being active in your land use and in the community is the site, and much of McDonald Avenue is zoned manufacturing. And that manufacturing zoning designation comes with it a heritage. And I'm the son of a furniture salesman who spent much of my life picking up furniture and meeting people who manufacture furniture on McDonald Avenue with my father. And many of those shops are now gone. But what's left now is the manufacturing designation, and of course, there's a need for housing. So what we're asking you, Austin, go back to the front page, please. What we're asking you permission to do tonight is the first step in a ULURP application it's an application to the New York City Department of City Planning and City Planning Commission to seek permission to rezone the property from its current manufacturing designation to allow for what's called a C4-4L zoning designation, which is specially crafted for McDonald Avenue by the city of New York to create that, what you see in the top image right here, that setback along the train line. And I'll go through that in a minute. We'd like to present to you the concept that we hope that you're liking what you see, in the sense that it's going to provide much affordable housing. It'll be creating 18 affordable housing units within the development. There are a total of 66 units within the buildings. That's nearly a third of the units within the building are going to be affordable. It's going to have tons of parking. And we have worked for the last 3 years trying our best to meet with your community board and work with you. And we've met with other leaders, civic leaders and community leaders, to try to craft the building and design it so that what you see here today is the result of that. I understand not everybody that's on this call was privy to those earlier meetings, but some people who are, hopefully you'll remember. And some of those changes I'll point out for you right now, what you're seeing here at the bottom of your screen. You can take a look at the building we're hoping to build. Would have residential along Lake Street. And the Lake Street portion would be just 4 stories tall, with actually, if you look at the very end of the building there next to the green awning at the bottom, is a little 3-story row house. And that's all done with your community's input, as well as where you see the green awning. The idea was to include a daycare there, which is also part of the community's input when we've met with you, and also entrances for cars and people, and where the stores are located. I'll go through all of this. But this whole building that you're seeing right now was crafted with the input of many people within the community on the board through multiple meetings. Not to say that it's to be supported tonight because of that, but we would hope at least that you see that we tried our best as we could to listen to what your concerns were, to respect Lake Street, to try to focus the building on McDonald Avenue, which I think we do a good job of, and actually blocking the noise from the train, which is quite loud over there. So we'd be happy to go on to the next page and show you a little bit of our presentation. And again, we thank you. If you go to the next slide, I said a moment ago, the Jackson Group is the development group. It's the Shahebar family. Of course, they're quite well recognized in the community, and they're local. They're not going anywhere. They will be developing the building, and the relationship that you have with them now. I know many of you are familiar with some of their charitable work, and Ike is quite active in doing some of the beautification. If you don't know this about him, on the streetscape, underneath the elevated train, there's a whole movement by Department of Transportation to beautify these areas. And Hike is incredibly devoted to the street beautification. It drives him crazy that it looks the way it looks sometimes. And that's the kind of person that's behind this development. And that's why we've worked so closely with you. If you can go to the next slide, please. And this is, I guess, a beautiful slide to go to depict why Ike works so hard on trying to make stuff look good. This is the site. This is what things look like. There's a lot of graffiti around. There's a lot of schmutz around, to use a Yiddish term. I think that's appropriate here. It's not really the best looking corner in all of New York City. There's a lot of infrastructure here. There's a subway station, of course. And, the building itself is an old building. harkens back to the 40s and the 50s, when the area was really a thriving manufacturing area. And it's been used as an administrative building through the years. And now that it's fallen dormant now, most recently, they have been letting it go on a month-to-month or yearly basis with another yeshiva to use it. As I mentioned before, they're a very generous family. And, that yeshiva has another home to go to while they're building their new home. So the hope would be that if you were to act on this, that yeshiva would go to their new home, and the building would be ready to be demolished, and the new building would be built if you were to approve it. So that's the story behind the site. If you go now to the next slide. Next slide is a slide you've seen before, but I'll bring it back. It's an oldie but a goodie. Next slide, please. There you go. That's perfect. This slide shows you the site in where it rests within the community. I'll call your attention to up and down Avenue S, particularly from the site to the right in an easterly direction as I show you more pictures. Avenue S, you know better than I do, has big buildings on it. It's right next to the subway station. Of course, you've got the 7-story Yeshiva Magen David right next door to everything. The area is a hub of activity, and rightfully so. People want to be here, and we should be thankful for that. As we all learned in the last couple of years, that's not a given in New York City. If you go to slide, please. Next slide shows you the building. I'm trying to now depict for you and show you here what I'm asking you to build is an 85-foot tall building at the end of the day. And what I'm trying to show you here is that the building that I'm asking you to build fits within the community. And I'm trying to show you that by showing you what Avenue S looks like and the heights of the buildings along Avenue S and how what we're doing fits within the heights. If you look at the bottom of the slide, also you could see Yeshiva Magen David at 83 feet. We're at 85 right above it. Start going to your right, you see 62, 63, 90. Now we're 85. The good thing about us being 85 is that included within that 85 is about 25% of the floor area being put towards affordable housing, which is being borne by the applicant themselves without any city or state funding. As a matter of fact, even the tax abatement program that normally in the past would have allowed for it is expiring in June, so they won't even be eligible for a tax exemption based upon this. So the affordable housing that we're all obviously in great need of is being really borne by private developers through these rezoning applications. When you act on them, you should know that. You should also know that there's a trend now to lower the affordable housing rate to a lower AMI to attract and make it eligible for people of a lower income bands. And we have done that here, and I'll show you what level we are trying to present it at, but there's various levels that we can present at, and we'll show you those. There's a 60% band, there's an 80% band, and there's a 120% band. We are hoping to come to you with an 80% band. If you can go now next, Austin, to the next slide, please. The next slide shows you the proposed rezoning area. You can see here that it's proposed to be an R5B. Right now it's an R5B and M11. It's proposed to be a C44L. And the next slide I'll take you to, click you through, we'll show you the C44L and show you what's proposed here and what we would be allowed to build. The right column shows you what we are proposing. The left column shows you what's existing, which is primarily an M11 zoning district. If you go now to the next slide, please, Austin. Next slide shows you why we're choosing a C44L zoning district here. And these are some of the discussion points that I raised a few moments ago. We tried to create something that fits within the neighborhood. I'm going to show you the building design in a minute, how we tried to focus it on McDonald Avenue and Lake Street. I'm also going to show you McDonald Avenue and Avenue S, and we tried to lower the building height on Lake Street. The C44L item 2, that's a zoning district created specifically for McDonald Avenue. Item 3, we're including, as I mentioned, affordable housing, which we're seeking option 2, which is 80% AMI. And item 4 we're showing you is that, well, McDonald Avenue is becoming quickly and has always been a mixed use corridor. You see plenty of homes on McDonald Avenue mixed amongst the auto repair and other M uses. If you go now to the next slide, we'll show you a little bit about what the building looks like, and we'll start walking you through the building. This shows you the proposed development and gives you sort of a clearer picture of everything on the left side of the page here. Shows you the total floor area being 120,000 square feet. We show you here the residential floor area being about 97,000 square feet. The commercial floor area is about 800 square feet. Excuse me, there's more than 800 square feet. That's a typo there. 18,000 square feet. That should be, I apologize for that. And there's about 4,000 square feet of community facility floor area. And I'll show you all this as we start to go through the building. As a matter of fact, the next slide shows you this rather well. If you go to the next slide, please, Austin. As I was mentioning a moment ago, that was a typo with the floor area. There's in fact 18,000 square feet of commercial floor area. That's the pink area that you're seeing right here. And as you move up the building, you can see the 4-story portion in blue on the right side. That's Lake Street. That's what I was trying to tell you is the lower rise side of the building that was designed that way. And you can see also the purple section in the middle. That's the community facility section. That's the daycare I mentioned we're including. So that's taking up a portion of the first floor. And then there's a residential lobby, and then there's the apartments upstairs. And you can see if you start to go through the slides, we'll start to take you through and shows you what everything's about here. Austin, if you can click a few slides forward, please go all the way forward. Click right forward to the plot plan. Keep going. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going to the elevation right there. Perfect. If you go back even, I think one, is this where it all starts? I think it starts, yep. All right, let me just make sure you're on the right page with me. Now, if you go back 3 slides, please, Austin. Back one more. There you go. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through right now the property from start to finish, just to make sure you all understand what we are asking for. The view you're looking for from here is the view looking at it as if you're in the air above the intersection of McDonald Avenue and Avenue S. This is where we tried to put the massing of the building. This was what was discussed at the community board meetings. This is where you wanted to see us push everything. We originally came to you. The building was sort of unilaterally spread out. The right side of the building along McDonald Avenue is where the building steps back away from the elevated platform. That happens at about 50 feet. That does a couple of things for the building. Obviously, it moves those residents further away. It also opens up more light and air to the street, which is the idea of that design, which is specifically designed for McDonald Avenue. And for those of you who are concerned or curious about the noise that may occur, the window technology that occurs, that's utilized these days, is similar to that in airports and that you see in modern day train stations, which is why you see housing being created up and down all around the world up against arterial roadways and transit infrastructure such as this. It's because the technology has come to be now that you can build a building here that can accommodate both the vibrations, the noise, and believe it or not, some of the young people, and I bet some of the older people too that move there, enjoy the view of the urban landscape of the trains going by. It's actually a positive. It's the same thing on the BQE. I'm sure you've all had a chance to drive down the BQE in the last few years, and there's hundreds of homes facing the BQE now that 30 years ago, 20 years ago, and we're never there. And it's the same sort of thing. And of course, they all want to be there because nobody really wants to drive that much anymore, at least not much of the younger generation. And they do like to use mass transit. Now, albeit we are having a bit of a mass transit crisis these days, and not everybody is so hip on mass transit, but not everybody has the ability to own a car, and a lot of people do rely upon it. And in addition, we have parking downstairs, and I'll go through that with you, for 67 parking spaces, and 25 are needed. So we've got ample parking. So I'm taking now to the next perspective. Austin, go to the next slide, please. This is the view from Lake Street. This is an important slide to be showing you because this was a lot of time spent to do all of your committee meetings talking about the location of the building, the entrances, the vehicular entrances on this side, the residential entrances on this side, the daycare is on this side. There's no commercial activity on this side of the street whatsoever. And that was done after a lot of discussion. The daycare is put there because there was thought that the daycare was simpatico with the residential quiet nature of Lake Street. You'll also notice that our building stops, you'd think it stops where the green awning ends at the end there, but that's not the end of our development. There's a 3-story townhouse that's next to us that is also put there as a part of a discussion that we had with your community board. And the idea of this, the suggestion that came out of it is, let's ease into the development. Let's not disrupt Lake Street. And I can take you back to some pictures that show you Lake Street across from our building on this end of Lake Street. And that's a sort of more of an inconsistent streetscape of structures on Lake Street there. It's not quite as idyllic as the remainder of Lake Street, where it's more consistent with homes, and I can show you some pictures of that. So we believe that our building here blends well with what's going on that end of Lake Street, both on our side and on the other side, especially considering the warehouse that was there already and what could be there in a manufacturing zone. So we're hoping you like it, and we really spent a lot of time trying to listen to every single thing you said. Go to the next slide, please, Austin.
Eric,
yeah.
Eric, this is Bill. So I think, most of the people that are going to be commented are directly impacted. So I would tend to say, if we have any more questions about the project, we can always do it as we see what comes out of the public portion. So if I could maybe just get us to the public portion, so we can see where some of the comments are, even though we've had many meetings. And then we could always come back if we missed something.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm glad I gave enough of a presentation for everybody, and thank you for cutting me off, and I'll answer any questions.
You got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we're gonna open this up to it's a public hearing. So if somebody needs to make a comment, ask a question, now's the time. And go into let Marnie know by raising your hand. She'll acknowledge you and put you on the air.
Okay, so this portion is just for the public hearing on the presentation, not the public portion of the meeting. So I see New Utrecht Library. Okay. Patrick Lempert, if you would just unmute yourself.
And Patrick, I know you're going to be asking questions. We will amass the questions, so some of them might be in commonality, and then try to get it all done at once. So if you could just put your questions or your comments into the record, we'll try to get to it all in a sum up.
You can speak, sir.
Patrick, are you there? Did you unmute yourself?
Yeah.
You got,
No, we can't hear you.
we can't hear you.
Do you want to type it in? Yes, you can ask in the chat
Yes.
and I'll read it out. Okay, so he asked if there's space for secure bike parking in the building for residents.
Yes, there is space in the cellar level where the car parking is. There's a specially assigned space that'll be created for bicycle parking.
Great.
And
Thank you,
require-
Eric.
also
Anybody?
require-
I'm sorry, Eric. Go ahead.
So
Anybody
I-
else? No, I'm saying if you have the bike parking, we answered the question. So
Yeah.
we're good. Anybody else?
If anyone would like to speak and be recognized, please use the raise hand function. So we have a comment about driving down the block in the morning, but there's bumper to bumper traffic and this will make it much worse.
Okay, so I, as the chairman, I will respond to that because anybody who's been near a school, we have a yeshiva there. And I know some mornings I drop my granddaughter off at the academy she goes to. For that half hour, it's like, it's absolute pandemonium. In the afternoon, when you go pick up kids, it's pandemonium. When I go to work, I know we're on a hybrid schedule. I just go to downtown Brooklyn. If I don't leave my house at 6:30 in the morning, I'm in bumper to bumper traffic. So I don't think we are going to answer the question of the bumper to bumper traffic and how much more this creates. Certainly the traffic has gotten horrendous in this city, and that's the way I would respond. It's not that the developers could do anything more for us in terms of ameliorating traffic. Traffic is traffic. So, and they, you know, they have the number of parking spots. So Marnie, go on to the next.
Yeah. There's a question about how it will affect parking for residents already living in the neighborhood. Parking is already limited. And I think Mr. Palatnik answered for the unit, 66 units. How many parking spaces are there?
It'll be 67.
So 67 parking spaces will be provided.
Gotcha. Now, so yeah, again, that should, you know, they created more than one per, you know, one more than they needed. So,
Okay,
know,
so
that's part of the planning.
Phyllis Paduani, if you would just unmute yourself, you can speak.
Sure. I just like to know, like, they were just asking about the parking. There's 67 spots for the residents.
Mhm.
They're also talking about retail on Avenue S. So that's gonna cause more havoc than the yeshiva traffic. Because I live on Lake Street between S and T, and it's really bad right now. So the most of the focus is being put on Lake Street and Kings Highway. But where's all the parking gonna be for the retail people, space that they're gonna put?
Hi, it's Eric Palatnik. Believe it or not, and I can appreciate your concerns, I'll give you the technical answer first, why there is no retail parking. And that's the believe it or not part. The believe it or not part is that the city of New York does not encourage parking for local retail uses. So the square footage that we have waves out under the zoning. The zoning district we're asking for actually gives a waiver provision, and we fall within that. I believe it's under 20,000 square feet of floor area or 25,000 square feet. You don't need parking, and we have 18,000. So that's not by our doing. But having said that, we have additional room for more parking space at the cellar level if it becomes a problem. The 67 spaces are laid out as if it would be self-park, but really it's going to be valet because there's an elevator coming in. So if we needed to have more space downstairs, we could. In addition to that, we're really trying to attract, the people that we've been talking to are local retail types of establishments that are really going to service people that live there. Very little is destination type of retail that we're trying to seek. But having said that, we live in Brooklyn, and people are going to drive 5 feet to go somewhere. It's, you know, even if it's not right in front of their door, they're getting out of there, they're getting in the car and they're driving, and we know that. We're going to do our best to try to offer up parking if we see it becomes a problem for people for the commercial uses. But like I said, we don't anticipate that the retail uses are going to drive that much. We're trying to attract people. The location of the building next to the subway is a big draw for a lot of businesses. So they're really trying to attract a lot of people that would use the subway.
Okay, thank you for that answer.
Okay. Anybody else?
No,
Okay. So hearing none, I'd like to close the public hearing. Can I get a motion? Ross? Okay, seconded by Rosa. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so that closes the public hearing. We will now open the board meeting. So we will have the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, so Ross, lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance because you came right in
Okay.
front of me.
Okay. Let's pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Ross.
Thank you.
I'd like to now run the public portion. Now, we're not going to talk anything about this development in the public portion because we just had a public hearing. But the public portion is for the public and not for the board. When we start the board meeting, the public doesn't get to speak, but the board does. So none of the board members speaking here, just anybody from the public on another matter aside from this, this development. Nobody, Marty?
No, I have.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I just have to scroll. Angelo Bruno, if you would unmute yourself.
Hi, could you hear me now?
Yep,
Hi, good evening, everybody, and thank you for taking this phone call from me. I want to appreciate everything. I had a meeting at the Dyker Heights Association the other night on Tuesday, and the guest speaker was the captain from the 6-8. And he was very knowledgeable of what he was working with. He did tell me he did speak to the captain in the 6-2. So right now he said he gave out something like 28 tickets. He promised me that he's going to work on it. Of course, the weather's not here yet. It's getting close. We had a couple little incidents as far as they cut a tree down to have a bonfire, and the fire department had to come and put the fire out. So there's a lot going on. And like I say, every meeting we have, I bring it up that the weather's going to get better, and I can understand what's going to happen. But my biggest problem is the Bay 8th Street that I'm on, Independence Gardens. When they're drinking quite a bit and they're walking over our side, they'll fall asleep on our property. We'll find them sleeping in our garbage area. Where my 2 maintenance men on Monday morning spends between an hour and a half extra time on bait, picking up bottles, picking up diapers, picking up all kinds of stuff. And I'm hoping, and I know the 6-2 captain and the 6-8 captain promised me that they're going to work on it. But there's signs up there saying that the park is open to 1 o'clock in the morning. And that's all concerning, because what good could anything come out of 1 o'clock in the morning in the park? So I'm hoping and praying that everybody's going to stay on top of this. I got more now than I ever had before, so I have to say thank you. And I just hope we keep going forward. Problem I had, they told me that I should call 311. And a couple of my shareholders did call 311, and they said it's not our concern. You got to call 911. So we called 911. 911 says this is not emergency, so you got to get in touch with the park enforcement police. The gentleman that did call that day asked, and they said they didn't have the number from 311 or 911. So I'm getting a lot of mixed communications here, and I don't know where to go from here. So I was hoping I would get some answers tonight.
Angelo, this is Captain Chen.
Thank you, Captain.
All right, so this is the first time I'm hearing about what 311's, turning this kind of issue away. This is something we had to, look into. As far as I'm concerned, this is a quality of life, complaint, and then they should take the issue. If you're having trouble with the operator, I would, either call in again, maybe get another operator that knows what he's doing, or what she's doing, or just file the lodge the complaint online. You could, I think there's an option to do that. Again, I'm sure. Do you have my NCO officer's number?
Yes, I did speak to Michael Jerry. I did speak to them, and they're telling me just what you're telling me. Hang up and get another operator.
yeah, but Angelo, anytime you get that type of response from 311, please take the operator's number. They all have a number. Now, not a phone number, a number. So just give me your operator number. And would you let Marnie know that? Because then we'll make a complaint from the community board.
Absolutely, I will do that.
That's why when I hear that, I'm like, no, wait a second,
Right, because
I know we
that is a
cannot send
311.
away.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's definitely a 311 complaint.
May I interject? This is Sonia. Usually when that's happened to me, I just ask for the supervisor. They must give you the supervisor when you request it at 311, and she will handle it. She'll take the call.
Okay, so Angelo, we thank you. We're going to stay honest with you. We know it's it's a problem, and it's a quality of life thing. So
And Angelo, I believe over the past weekend, there was a couple summons for consumption of alcohol in outside the park, like onto the sidewalk. That was the issue. All right, so and I know it's just a couple summons, not going to do too much, but but this is an ongoing issue. You're gonna tackle it, and it's gonna be a long-term issue. And then like I said during the last time the joint community board meeting, this is something that we'll continue to tackle. All right.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Okay, Marnie?
Ms. Rose or Jahi Rose? You can-
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, I apologize.
No, no problem. My computer was actually muted. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jahai Rose. I am the Director of Outreach for the Civilian Complaint Review Board. Thank you all very much for allowing me to speak. I just wanted to notify you all that the CCRB is back to doing our monthly board meetings in person. The location is 100 Church Street at our headquarters on the 10th floor. The meetings take place on the second Wednesday of every month. We just had one of our meetings yesterday, and they start at 4 p.m. They could also be viewed on WebEx. We will continue to share the information about the meetings with the community board, and we definitely ask that you share it with the community. Anyone that wants to participate in the conversation about police and community relations and responses to police misconduct, feel free to attend. They are open to the public. Anyone is allowed to speak, whether in person or virtually. At the CCRB, would love to work with as many people as possible throughout your community board to spread the message of police accountability. So if individuals need the agency, they can feel free to utilize us. I'm going to leave my information in the chat. So feel free to contact me if you'd like an outreach presentation, to participate in any type of outreach initiatives, or to attend our next monthly board meeting. I'm coming up in June. Thank you all very much for allowing me to speak.
Thank you so much.
Good night.
Anybody else?
Ms. John?
Hello, good morning. Oh, good morning. My goodness. Good evening, everyone. I'm already on my different daylight savings time. Tomorrow morning? Wow. Anyway, good evening, everyone. My name is Tambi John. I am the branch manager at the New Utrecht Library, located at 1743 86th Street. And the library would just like to let everyone know that we are celebrating our 125th birthday, and we are creating a book list which celebrates 125 essential Brooklyn books. So these are books that are all about Brooklyn, by Brooklyn authors. So look for that book list, and hopefully you all get to take a read. The library also want to let you know that we have a Brooklyn Incubator program, which is a program throughout Brooklyn that fosters partnerships between the library staff and community members. The Incubator program helps to fund projects, programs, mentorship, and supplies resources to staff and partners with innovative ideas. If anyone wants more information, you can contact the library to let you know more. But most importantly, we're having our summer reading program. The last 2 years, it was a little bit of a hiatus. It was mostly entirely virtual. This year will be a hybrid. We will be having in-person programs as well as virtual. So we're having our summer meals programs. We bring back all of our story times, our kids create, our adult arts and crafts, our adult art programs. We're bringing all the crochet programs back. So please look at your local libraries. We're bringing it back bigger and better than ever. The library for our location and our community, we're actually hosting a program on June 4th from 11 to 3 p.m. at the Diker Beach Playground, which is located at 14th Avenue and 86th Street. We will host the program that's titled Brooklyn Public Library is turning 125 and New Utrecht is celebrating with a multicultural festival. The event will have performances from the Big, Bubble Girls, African Drummer, Spuddy Roots, Puppet Mobile, the Italian Opera Company, the Diker Heights Singers. There's also be a drawing session with artist Wilfredo Santiago. We'll have raffles, story times, vintage cars, bookmobiles. Oh, there is so much more. And I really do truly invite everyone to attend. It is in person, it's outdoors. We want you to come and have a time of fun with each other. I'm hoping that Marnie or perhaps William, AKA Bill, that one of you guys can join us, maybe do a little bit of a talk about the community board and what you guys do for our community. I would appreciate it. But it's Saturday, so I know you might be busy, but I hope you can join us. It's 11 to 3 p.m. at the Diker Beach Playground. We also have a program on June 7th at the Bensonhurst Park that's located at, was it Cropsey Avenue, between 25th, Cropsey and 25th and Bay Parkway. That's the big one, that new one. There's gonna be a program there, 11 to 3 p.m. also on June the 7th. And that too, we'll have performances by the Big Bubble Girls. We'll have performances by Bubbles the Clown. There'll be story time, games. So the library is here. We're up and running. These programs are sponsored by many people, from Councilman Justin Brannan to the Dyker Heights Library, the Nutrik Friends. They're all sponsors, and there's so many more. So I want to invite you all. For more information, go to our website, brooklynlibrary.org, or call the branch 718-236-4086. And as I said, you're all welcome to join us and celebrate Brooklyn.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thanks. for your
Marnie,
support.
may I just add, I put it in the chat. I'm the president of the Friends Group for the library. I put the schedule in the chat room.
Great. Thanks, Sonia. Okay, anybody else?
Nancy Lulu.
Thank you, Marnie. Good evening, everyone. Hope all is well. I bring greetings on behalf of DA Gonzalez to everyone. Just a couple of announcements. The Brooklyn DA's office is collaborating with the NYPD and will be holding a gun buyback event with no questions asked on Saturday, May 21st at Emmanuel Baptist Church at 279 Lafayette Avenue, Brooklyn, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Receive a $200 bank card and an iPad for operable handguns and assault rifles. Also, in honor of the Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, the Brooklyn DA's office will be holding an Asian and Pacific Islander celebration in Brooklyn Heights as we celebrate generations of Asian and Pacific Islanders who have enriched our communities. The event will be held Tuesday, May 24th at 5:30 p.m. at the Brooklyn Bar Association located at 123 Remsen Street. I've shared the flyers with the board as well as with the precinct. If you want more information, please feel free to reach out to them or to myself. Also, please visit the Brooklyn DA's website at brooklyndA.org and our social media platforms to check on our latest press releases and updates. And as always, if you have any questions or any concerns that you would like to address with our office, to call the Action Center at 718-250-2340. And that's it. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak.
Nancy. Appreciate it. Thank you. Anybody else?
Brian Gross.
Hello, this is Brian Gross from Councilmember Alexa Avila's office, community advocate. Just to update you guys on just a few things. Our district actually covers just a portion of CB 11, but just to update you guys, we recently experienced the loss of 2 constituents of traffic violence. First one took place last Thursday when a private garbage truck struck Eric Stilitsky at 39th Street and 9th Avenue. The next one was the following day on a Friday. A 55-year-old man was struck on 4th Avenue and 21st Street. Traffic safety is extremely important, and we support and call on the city to implement commercial wait zones, and why we call on the DLT to really consider the use of physical traffic calming measures such as ballards. We also think drivers should reduce speeds. Paint and mediums are great visually, but there of course should be more. And we think that each preventable death is simply just one too many. That was just to update you guys on what has happened recently in our district. And this Saturday, we have a Red Hook community cleanup. I know it's a little bit far, but if you can join, it'd be great. It's Saturday. We're working with the Red Hook Business Alliance. It's on Dwight Street and Otsego Street from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Starting June 3rd, we will have free book Fridays. We'll accept donations at our office hours. We're 44th Street, 4th Avenue, 4417 4th Avenue, open Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Additionally, we also have mobile office hours. This weekend will be in 8th Avenue, Chinatown, 909 58th Street, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate your update. Thank you. Anybody else, Marnie?
No.
Okay, so hearing none, I'd like to close the public portion of the meeting. Jeff, seconded by Dr. Law, all in favor? Any opposed, any abstentions? Okay, so we will now have the adoption of the minutes of April 12th. So Bart, you will give us an emotion. Somebody second Bart's motion.
Second.
Okay, so Janet is seconded, all in favor? Any opposed, any abstentions? Okay, so the minutes are passed. So I will give you my report now. The Planning and Zoning Committee will report next month on the recommendations of the public hearing we just had, the 2080 McDonald Avenue application at the June 9th board meeting. The board will then vote and make a recommendation on the matter. The nominating committee has handed me the slate of officers for the 22-23 term. Myself as chairman, first vice chair Lori Windsor, second vice chair is Sonia Valentin, secretary Manuel Lau, and treasurer will be Eileen LaRuffa. So at the next meeting, we will vote and take nominations from the floor if anybody has a nomination from the floor. Eric Palatnik, who made the presentation on behalf of the developers, will be meeting with the Planning and Zoning Committee to discuss another project at 166 Kings Highway. It's the footprint of the diner that was there for many years, and it's going to be a proposed charter school. And also to facilitate a 10-story mixed-use building. The meeting will be held virtually on Tuesday, May 24th. Notices will be sent out shortly, and information on all meetings can be found on our website. I would like to recognize Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month as we celebrate during the month of May. The contributions and the achievements of all our Asian American and Pacific Islander Americans in our community and throughout New York. Last but not least, I know Lori is working on this with me with Congresswoman Malliotakis, but there's been a rash of our relay mailboxes being hit, and they're taking checks and washing them. It happened up in Bay Ridge, but it also happened in my particular mail route 3 times in 6 weeks. Nothing was ever said to the folks in that area. I noticed that I wasn't getting either bills. There were some days I got no mail at all, which is, everybody gets all of this junk mail. And finally, I asked my regular carrier what's going on. He said, well, they were supposed to send you notices that the mail was robbed, but 3 times in 2 relay boxes within blocks of one another. And he was telling me that it is an inside job because they actually used the key. They weren't ratcheting it open. And those are those green boxes that you see where the mailman, he puts his route together in the morning at the post office, and then they deliver it so that he's not carrying the entire route around. But I think this is very serious. A lot of seniors, I try to get as much done over the internet. Don't send me a check. Don't put it in the mail. But some people, like to see that actual physical check, and Social Security checks and other checks come that way. So I know that we need to be vigilant here. I know that we got to hold the post office accountable. And I think it's just shame on them that they haven't said to their, to the people they're servicing that this is a problem, because then you would try to ward this off. So I'm going to keep vigilant on it. I know that Lori's working hard for us on it. And if there's anything we have to do, I'm going to invite all the elected officials from this area to participate because I think it's a very serious situation. Okay. So before I give it to Marnie, I see that Assemblyman Colton is with us. Usually I let him go before me, so I held him a little bit tonight. So Assemblyman, please, your time.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to report a couple of things. I did meet with the commissioner regarding the homeless shelter issue, and we had a discussion, and we're going to be having a Zoom meeting on May 19th at 7 o'clock, basically to report to the community and have some discussion on our next steps. We've collected collectively, I think, over 20,000 petitions. The opposition is still very strong to those two shelters. And we are going to be, continuing now as we try with the new administration to convince them and to show them the problems that would exist if either of those homeless shelters are there. So that fight is continuing, and we will be having a Zoom meeting on May 19th. My office will have the link available for anybody who wants it, and we will, proceed with that. The second thing is I want to thank the 6-2 precinct, which continues to be very proactive and very active in terms of keeping crime down in this area. This is a low crime area, but we have to make sure that it stays that way. And I know that some of the kinds of things that have been happening, for example, somebody stealing packages off people's porches, an arrest was made, regarding that. I think that there was some, there's been some police activity to prevent that. There's been issues with merchants and shoplifting. And I know the 6-2 has been very creative and responsive, talking to the merchants on Bay Parkway and Kings Highway on Avenue U, and responding to that very effectively with a number of different strategies. And so, I think we're very lucky to have the captain and the 6-2 precinct, which have been very responsive in terms of those kinds of issues, especially in this area. We do have a perception by a lot of people in all over the city that the subways are not safe. And I'm going to be proposing that we need to provide more money for transit police on the subways and trains. And my office is going to be, submitting petitions on that. And we're going to be speaking, trying to convince the city that, we need very much so to deal with that perception on public transportation. It is very damaging to the city where people are afraid to use the subways and buses. And we need to, I think, be very aggressive on a citywide basis in terms of dealing with that. So my office is making available petitions on that issue. And we're going to try to, mobilize public opinion to deal with that. My office continues to remain open. We, are receiving people every day and dealing with many problems. We had a little problem in the last few days. There's been, in terms of internet connectivity, we've been having some problems, and I don't know what it is, with Optimum. And when you call, when a constituent tries to reach them on a problem, they hang on the phone forever. I don't know whether there's any reason for that, but I'm going to be looking into that, because that's simply not acceptable. I had a constituent today, we were on the phone for over an hour and a half, and the message kept getting repeated that, someone will be on the phone shortly and that your waiting time is 0. Well, that 0 waiting time went on for over 35 minutes. And that's simply not something that's acceptable. So my office is going to be looking at that issue and any other issues that may come up. And again, I want to thank the planning board. You're very on top of all the important issues. You continue, to alert the public to them. And, we look forward to continue to work together with you on all of these issues. So I think that, is.
Thank you, Assembly Member. I appreciate it. You're always good. And you get on, Bill. We got to get your boy Peter to get more involved in the Zooms. He hates Zooms. Okay. Captain, did you want to add anything?
Well, Assemblyman, when you talk about getting more overtime for the transit, I'm starting getting jealous. My friends over there is already getting 60 hours a month. Meanwhile, my guys are struggling with, to come up to half of that. But that's fine. It is a great way to the perception perception could actually make people feel safer there. It's actually great. And I agree. My officers actually been doing directed patrol at all the train stations in the 6-2. There's 13 train stations in the confines of 62nd precinct. Actually, could be 14 because New Utrecht and 62nd Street, it's actually 2 lines going through there. So that's kind of like 2 train stations.
Yes.
So, my officers are working hard. I mean, we're stretching thin, but we are working hard to try to cover every platform. They try to visit every train station at least once their tour. But that's something because we're well aware that just being the officers being out there, let people that on the train that even just riding the train, passing by, seeing the cop on the platform, how much safer that makes those subway riders feels. So that's one thing, well, we need to get more cops. Yeah, transit could get more cops. That's great. Couple things. First, I want to thank our Chief Patrol, Chief O'Reilly, and our Borough Commander, Chief Camper, and the PBA. They recognized 2 of our officers, Officer Samu and Officer Ramdas, for their role in assisting to recover that the vehicle involved in last month's subway shooting in Sunset Park. They had some nice pictures. They took some nice pictures, and it's posted on our Twitter page. So those 2 officers, job well done and well deserved. And I thank I thank the chiefs for recognizing the work that they did, because it is they put by finding the van and solving that case quickly. That puts a lot of us at ease for riding the train. So another thing, feel like you mentioned, it's Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. So I'll be celebrating this month.
There you go.
But also I want to let everyone know next week it's also National Police Memorial Week. So next, please keep our anyone in law enforcement in your mind for next week. Another public announcement is just the NYPD Cadet Corps having an orientation tomorrow at the old Police Academy. That's at 235 East 20th Street in Manhattan at 3 o'clock. It's if anyone has knows anyone that's in college, or anyone that's in college that's on this call right now that wants to become a police cadet, it's a great program. I think I don't know what the salary starts now, but basically you get to be it's a part-time job, but then you get to work with us. So that's all I got.
Thank you, Cap. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and a reminder everyone, next Tuesday is the committee council meeting.
Council, yeah. Sonia put it in the chat.
Oh yeah, that too.
Okay, Marnie, you're on here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So in response to community complaints and concerns regarding mopeds and e-mobility devices, the Transportation Committee is meeting with the Department of Transportation Safety and Education Unit to discuss an outreach and education campaign within the district. The meeting will be held virtually on May 18th at 6:30 p.m. and the link will be included in tomorrow's newsletter, or you can find it on the board's website at www.brooklyncb11.org, and you can register there. And you could also sign up for our newsletter so you get all the meeting notices and informational events that are happening. The Department of Design and Construction advised that during pre-construction activities for the replacement of stormwater features at the 25th Avenue combined sewer outfall located at 25th Avenue between Hunter Avenue and the Bay, the contractor conducted soil sampling, and one sample came back with an elevated lead level. So the impacted area is located within an area of vacant, unvegetated land all the way in the back that is not public property or visited by the public. So the impacted area will be excavated and exposed from works related to this project and will be secured to ensure public safety prior to removal and disposal. During that process, The contractor will comply with an approved material handling plan and health and safety plan that will be reviewed and approved pursuant to DDC guidelines, as well as all applicable state and federal regulations. All soils being placed back into the ground will be clean fill, and information is posted on the Department of Design and Construction's website if anyone is interested in the sampling results and any other information. The agency, DDC, Department of Design and Construction, is also rehabilitating pedestrian ramps within the district. Unfortunately, we don't get a list beforehand of where the contractor will be, but this week, actually next week, Monday the 16th through Friday the 20th, weather permitting, there'll be no curbside parking at the intersections of 24th Avenue and 62nd Street and 76th Street and 18th Avenue so that they can fix those ramps. The Department of Transportation recently completed its study regarding the need for additional traffic controls at the intersection of Bay 37th and Bath Avenue. A traffic signal has been approved and installation will be performed by contract by October 31st of this year. And finally, on Thursday, May 19th at 6 p.m., the MTA will be holding a virtual meeting on plans for the Interborough Express. This is a rapid transit project which would connect underserved areas of Brooklyn and Queens and would be built along the Bay Ridge Connector and the Fremont Secondary, which is a 14-mile freight line that extends from Bay Ridge to Jackson Heights, Queens. To learn more, you can visit www.new.mta.info/project/Interborough Express. So you can sign up and get that link. If we receive that link beforehand, we'll be sure to share it. I doubt we'll see this project in our lifetime, but it will provide transportation throughout central Brooklyn, which is much needed. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Thanks, Marnie. Sonia, you have a Parks report?
Hello?
Yes,
Yes, I do. Oh,
Okay.
let me pull it up. 1 second.
sure.
Okay. Is it- Bear with me a moment.
All right, bye now, Shirley.
Marnie, I don't know if he doesn't, maybe you can mute him.
Sure. Sonia, would you like me to read it for you?
Yeah, would you? Because I can't find it actually.
Okay.
If you don't mind. Thank you, Marty.
Of course. So the Parks Committee held a joint meeting with Community Board 10 and representatives of the NYPD, Parks Enforcement Police, Commissioner Marr, and the Parks Department team. The Parks Department made a presentation regarding the reconstruction of the Shore Parkway bicycle path from the Verrazano Bridge to Bay Parkway. And the commissioner advised that this $8 million contract will bring this segment of the path up to a state of good repair to extend its service life for continuous use. This is not a full rehabilitation, it's just to make those needed repairs in the berm and the asphalt and some of the sewer lines there. The committee supported issuing a letter of support to the Parks Department to move this project forward. It won't be for probably, I believe, 2 years because of procurement, that dreaded word, and permitting process. But the 12-month project requires a full closure. It's due to safety reasons and it will move the project that much quicker. So while the committee supported the project, we would ask for the board to move that forward.
Can I get a motion? Okay, Ross, seconded by Jeff. Is there any other discussion? Okay, hearing none. Let's take it by negative. Anybody's opposed? Okay, so it's carried unanimously.
Perfect. And the second item on the agenda addressed the quality of life complaints from our residents regarding Dyker Beach Park, the area behind the handball courts near Poly Place, 14th Avenue on the CB 1068 precinct side. The issues discussed included fireworks being set off to celebrate various weddings and baby reveal parties. There are DJs, loud music, strobe lights, bonfires, mechanical bulls, and some of these events are lasting from 2 to 3 a.m. Due to these late night parties, the local residents who live on our side, across the street, Independence Gardens, Cropsey Avenue, have been impacted with garbage, people sleeping on their lawns, ashes going into their windows. Residents gathered over 200 signatures of complaints and observations and sent to both CB 10 and 11, which was submitted to the Parks Department. So the focus of the complaints relates to these types of large-scale unpermitted events, not the small groups gathered during the day and early evening that hold picnics and other small parties in the parks. It was suggested that an education campaign that informs the park users with flyers in various languages and volunteers speaking various languages is the first step in addressing these issues for those that may not know the rules. And they were also advised that permits are necessary for groups of over 20 people and can be obtained by applying to the Parks Department. Captain Tolson from the 6-8 said, and we heard that before, that he is sending his police and auxiliary team to give out information and to share the do's and don'ts of city parks. And this is the beginning. So both committees adopted resolutions that call for the park hours to be changed from 6 a.m. to 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. And we would like to support that for our residents. I mean, I don't know, that's not a destination park with large events that it needs to be open till 1 in the morning. So we would ask the board to support that
Should I
recommendation.
get a motion to support that resolution? Lori, seconded by Eileen. Is there anybody in the negative? Carry unanimously.
And the second part of it was in that area to eliminate the barbecuing. There are other locations, so if we can,
So can we have, can we just add that to that motion?
well, I think you may have people that may be opposed to that.
Oh, okay. All right, so let's.
I
Yeah,
separated.
Yeah, Marty, you're good. Okay, so does anybody want to put that motion on the floor? Okay, Bart, seconded by anybody? Yep, by Ross. Is there any more discussion? So let's do it again. Anybody in the negative? Okay, so Jeff's in the negative. Anybody else in the negative from the board? Okay, hearing none, it's carried with one opposed. Okay. That's it?
That's it.
All right. So is there any old business? Yes, go ahead, Dr. Law.
Hi, Mr. Chairman. I received several complaints about the garbage overflow on Bay Parkway between 65th and 72nd Street and Seflo Park and cigarette butts and the paper flying over. I and my volunteer going to clean up, okay? Anybody want to wish to join me? Let's clean up the neighborhood. Please call me 718-975-0955. We're going to do it next week, okay?
Dr. Law,
Volunteer. Yes.
If you can help us out while you're doing that. I just happen to be going past that park today.
Yes.
That's Sethlo. I'd like you to, Petrosino Park, you know where that is, 71st Street?
Okay.
71st and the Utrecht.
Okay.
So if you could take a look at a lot of our Asian neighbors like to go there, but today I don't know whether there was like maybe some event going on, but if there's not, let's just make sure that we keep that park clean too, because it
Sure.
really seemed like it was really over capacity.
Okay, we'll take a look. Yeah,
So just
Okay.
take a look to make sure that.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
it's still in good
Definitely.
shape. Okay?
yeah. Anybody want to join us, please call me. Okay, let's do
Sure.
it together. Thank
Doc-
you.
Got it.
Dr. Law,
Yes,
I have people from the public that would like you to repeat the phone number and I'll put it in the
okay,
chat.
got it.
So-
91718-975-0955. Please
Okay,
call
so-
me, okay?
Yeah, let's help Dr. Law out. He's doing a good job.
Thank you.
Dr. Law,
Yeah.
Yes,
I apologize. Can you just tell me if the garbage on Bay Parkway is from the litter baskets? Do you need
it's at the
additional-
corner of the basket, corner of the
Yeah, it's
basket
the basket,
overflow. There's a
basket.
lot of garbage on the sidewalk.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Yes.
I'll have
we know
sanitation.
what it is.
Mhm.
We know what it is.
Yep.
Okay, is there any other old business? New business? Okay, hearing none. Oh, you have something, Ross? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This fits into the old business and new business. Mari mentioned in your report that there'd be a meeting in the next month concerning education about scooters and other issues. And I wanted, since we have the assembly member here and the captain here, I engaged recently in a public outing regarding the death of the individual, Ms. Rowe, Jumping Cho, over in the 70s here in our district. We had a fatality because of a motorized scooter. And a lot of the talk was, or petition was that this is something that could be regulated, and there needed to be action from Albany in order for there to be regulation, so that then there can be enforcement. So I'm wondering, beyond education, are there any efforts to I guess to require licenses, to have greater oversight over these things? It's no longer it's a public safety issue, and it's also a crime issue, because this woman was murdered. Be it a negligent homicide, it was a homicide. It wasn't an accident. These aren't accidents anymore. And we have these scooters and motorized things and even bicycles riding on our sidewalks.
Yep.
Really, I have a school across the street from me as well, and I'm often chasing adults, wondering why these are not 5-year-old kids. I understand 5-year-old children on bikes, but I don't understand motorized bikes, motorized scooters, or adults on bikes. And it's really a public safety issue. So can we address it as a public safety issue? And is there any motion to bring this to bring some kind of licensing structure to these?
Yes, Assemblyman Peter Rabati has introduced a couple of bills, a package of bills. One deals with the registration of these e-bikes and e-scooters. Another one deals with the question of the education part of it. But there's definitely, he's introducing it. I'm going to be a prime co-sponsor on that legislation. We're trying to see if we can get it done before the end of session, because the session ends June 2nd. So I'm not sure we're going to be able to do it by June 2nd. But those bills have been introduced, and we're going to see if we can, require registration and other such and training for those who, are going to be using these bikes. So I think that is going to be important. There was a number of memorials that were held. There was a meeting with the family at a restaurant a month or so ago. And I believe also Senator Simcha Felder has some legislation. So we'll be working together with him on the Senate side, and we'll be doing it on the Assembly side to see if we can, get that changed, because the city, under the legislation that was passed, the city was given the responsibility of coming up with rules and regulation. They have not done so. And since they have not done so, I think now it's important that the state has to step in and provide the regulations and the licensing requirements for these e-bikes and e-scooters, which can go 25 miles an hour, and which, obviously they can cause a death. And they did tragically in this situation. So yes, we do intend to pursue legislation on that.
Thank you very much, Assemblyman.
There has to be enforcement on it also.
Okay. Yeah, Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
just-
there's enforcement on it. Okay.
Yeah, well, just the last thing from Captain Chow's perspective, not the whole Chen's perspective, I'm sorry, is, under current laws, or whether it's nuisance or anything else, knowing how stretched the department is there any chance of an operation or a crackdown based on current? You just don't ride motorized bikes on sidewalks. It's just
Yeah,
public
but you gotta
safety.
catch them, Ross. You gotta catch them doing it. So-
I've got a net, Bill.
Yeah, I mean, I like that net too, but you can't just call them the guy and the police guy comes, this guy's back in his house already. So
And that,
it's really only if they see them, they can enforce.
and that's why.
Another issue with this, yes, I'm sorry, Monty, I just, sorry, cut you off.
No.
Another issue of enforcing this, it's also very dangerous with this e-bikes, because they could go very, very fast. It's not just the motorized scooters, it's the e-bikes, because they could go from 0 to, whatever maximum speed they could go to, like in a second. And then if officers, I had a couple instances that officers try to catch them, and then they just run, make a U-turn, right on the opposite side of the road. I told my cops not to chase them, because the moment they fell down, guess who's getting sued, right? Well, I mean, not for something like this. I don't want anyone to get hurt over something like this. Yes, I want to have enforcement, but we'll have to wait for the legislation to come down. If we, there are ways that we could do. We gonna start doing some. Actually, we've been doing some visits at some of the. There's 2 e-bike shops in the confine of 6-2. But then again, they don't always get it from here. So.
Gotcha. Okay, Marty, you had
Yeah,
something?
no, I was just going to say, we invited the Department of Transportation down here to begin this conversation on how we're going to tackle all the different modes of transportation that are being utilized. I mean, clearly, we know that there are some people that know what they're doing is wrong. And on the other hand, right, because you have e-bikes and these scooters, and now you have mopeds. And I think some of it is a challenge to know, even under current law, what is legal and what is required. And that's why we're beginning that conversation, because I can tell you right now, looking out the window, you can look and what somebody may say, oh, that's an e-bike or an e-scooter, is actually a moped, which needs to be registered, insured, and a licensed driver.
That's an issue we have right now. We actually have been doing a lot of education to to a lot of this the restaurants, because a lot of delivery workers been using those. Basically, everyone that you saw out there that's they're riding around to do food delivery are illegal in a sense, because they do not have a VIN number, they cannot be registered with DMV. But there's also it's like, are we going to do this to take away their livelihood? That's another issue. So education first, we've been continue doing that education. And then there's also the other, like, the young, or maybe not so young people that's just riding all this mopeds.
Audio, put yourself on mute. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Bonnie, maybe you could do that.
Yep. I have to find some first.
Audio's on the first page.
I got them.
Okay.
All right, so yeah, those, that's a struggle that we've been dealing with. That's a frustration that we've been having since when was that we stopped doing the enforcement? I think it was like 3-4 years ago we stopped doing enforcement, like full out enforcement on the e-bikes. The one that with pedal assist e-bike, they are actually e-bikes. Those are legal, but then, those pedal assist ones are the one that can really go faster than 25 miles per hour. Supposedly. So those are not really the issue here. Although I have to say, you can't say, even if it's going 25 miles, when it hits someone, it's still, it could be an issue too. I mean,
it's gonna hurt you.
It's gonna hurt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna hurt you.
As a matter of fact, the accident that Ross just brought up, that's actually a legal e-bike.
Ah,
But he ran through a red light, so I'm not gonna comment on that because that's it's our procedure. It's DOT had to comment on this, and we are not allowed to. But that's hence my point.
sounds good. Okay, is there any other old business, new business? Hearing none. We went to a marathon session here today, so see you next month.